Or who else regularly buys ads for divisive content, be it social or political issues? Could it be the entirety of media everywhere? How's it going, everybody? There was a really big news story just the other day. Maybe you saw it. It's reported that Russian operatives were buying advertisements on Facebook in an attempt to manipulate people into the election. Now, according to the story, they weren't telling people who to vote for specifically, but they were posting things that were divisive political or social content in an attempt to sway public opinion. And these kind of stories, they're not surprising, right? We know about the Russian troll farms, where these people who may or may not be affiliated with the Russian government, in many instances they are, post disinformation in an attempt to sway public opinion. Now, because of all of this talk about Russian interference in the US election, Facebook decided to conduct an internal review on some of their ad sales to see if it was possible that they were susceptible to some kind of disinformation attack. And they've talked about this kind of stuff before in a white paper that they published. In a blog post, they said, "There have been a lot of questions since the 2016 US election about Russian interference in the electoral process. In April, we published a white paper that outlined our understanding of organized attempts to misuse our platform. One question that has emerged is whether there's a connection between Russian efforts and ads purchased on Facebook. These are serious claims, and we've been reviewing a range of activity on our platform to help understand what happened." Now, before I move further, I need to clarify something. These stories that we're hearing about in the press, where they say that Russia did this, that Russian operatives did this, many stories actually claiming these ads were purchased by the Russian troll house. Facebook's post in no way says that. That is all speculation, and dare I say it, fake news. Okay, no, I take that back. I'm not going to call it fake news. I'm going to call it false news, because false news is what Facebook calls it. Facebook defines false news in their white paper as news articles that purport to be factual, but which contain intentional misstatements of fact with the intention to arouse passions, attract viewership, or deceive. So these news organizations that are saying Russian operatives did this, the Russian government did this, or Russian companies did this, where are they getting that information from? Because that's not what the Facebook post says. According to Facebook's actual blog post, they said, "In reviewing the ad buys, we have found approximately $100,000 in ad spending from June of 2015 to May of 2017, associated with roughly 3,000 ads. That was connected to about 470 inauthentic accounts and pages in violation of our policies. Our analysis suggests these accounts and pages were affiliated with one another and likely operated out of Russia." So in this post, they go on to explain that we have to be vigilant, we have to pay attention to disinformation campaigns, and that they have removed these pages. But based on what you just heard, in no way did they say the Russian government did this. In no way did they say it was a disinformation campaign or that it came from the alleged troll house. So then why is it that all of these media companies are saying it is? Well, just like Facebook defined it, it's false news. Now, this story isn't 100% false. You know, these articles, they have a shred of truth to them, but they're stretching this narrative to arouse passions, attract a viewership, or deceive people, which is Facebook's own definition of false news. Not only that, let's talk about these ad buys in particular. They were divisive content socially or politically. They weren't telling people who to vote for. So let me ask, who regularly, or who else regularly buys ads for divisive content, be it social or political issues? Could it be the entirety of media everywhere, all the time? This is exactly what they do. How many times have you gone on Facebook and you've seen a sponsored ad for some far left or far right website? This is totally normal. So for Facebook to see that $100,000 in ads were bought by a group that they believe is in Russia, that's not surprising at all. Media companies exist in Russia too. And why would a media company in Russia want to put out divisive content on American political issues? Because it gets clicks and shares. It's exactly what fake news does. They probably write some heavy-handed opinion pieces because they know it'll get views and they'll make money doing it. If the Russians really were going to manipulate our social media through ads, we probably wouldn't know about it because it would be a lot more sophisticated than simply going to Moscow and buying advertisements. And not only that, $100,000 is literally nothing. It's a rounding error in advertising buys on Facebook. It's not going to influence anything. So if we look at the amount of money spent and the way this was implemented, it seems more likely, in my opinion, that this is a simple, small fake news business that is buying these ads in an attempt to generate revenue for their fake news blog. We know they exist. They've been written about many times. They operate in the US and many other countries. And it's simply about making money. These ads resulted in shares, which resulted in more ad revenue, and it's that simple. Now, I want to say, look, Russia, of course they're doing this. Of course they're buying ads. Of course they're manipulating people. But they're not going to do it in this way. First, if they want to be overt in how they influence US public opinion, they'd probably just start a media company, say a cable channel or a digital website, right? Like Sputnik or RT. If they want to get a message out and they want to sow division or whatever, they can just do that legally in this country, which they do. Now, I'm not saying that Russia and Sputnik are intentionally trying to be divisive or are some kind of secret government plot by the Russians, but you have to recognize that these are state-funded Russian operations, so it will push a Russian narrative. And that maybe is all it's doing. I don't want to get conspiratorial. But if we want to talk about the conspiracy of the Russian government trying to influence public opinion, they wouldn't do it from Russia. They would just do it here. If they wanted to sway opinion, they could simply have someone in the United States who speaks English do it. And not only that, they'd spend significantly more money than $100,000. This seems like a big nothing burger. Facebook found some ads that they believed were violating the terms of service. They deleted them. They believe these ads were divisive and may be from Russia, and they may be part of a disinformation campaign, but that's all it really is. No real hard evidence. We've got some outlets suggesting that people from Facebook who know about this are saying it is the Russian troll house. But one or two news outlets, in this instance, I think it's just the Washington Post, I'm not 100% sure, with this information, it's not a whole lot for me to go on. But I want to make sure everyone realizes that Russia does this kind of thing all the time. So does the United States. We operate what's called sock puppets, fake accounts, to manipulate public opinion in foreign countries. In fact, I'm sure every single country on the planet is doing it in some capacity. The reason I think this is so important is that all of these news organizations are definitively saying Russia did this, not taking into consideration that $100,000 is not a lot of money in terms of ads or influence, but that this likely is not a Russian attack. The statement from Facebook is very carefully worded, and it says they suggest, and it's likely, not definitive. The reason this is bad is that Russia is very likely actually doing this. And when stories come out that are flimsy, or when Facebook makes a statement and the news extrapolates and makes something even crazier out of what they're saying, it's easily refuted. Anybody who doesn't want to believe that Russia is attacking us is going to look at this and say, these news stories are fake news. And the sad truth is, to an extent, yes, they are. By Facebook's own definition, this is false news. Now, outside of this is another interesting Facebook tidbit. After the election, Mark Zuckerberg was asked about whether or not fake news had influenced the election on Facebook. And he said, of all the content on Facebook, more than 99% of what people see is authentic. He went on to say, it is extremely unlikely hoaxes changed the outcome of the election in one direction or the other. And when asked specifically about fake news and its influence, he said that was a crazy idea. Now let me tell you why that's scary. Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook. He's the CEO, right? As the head honcho. You'd think he would know about what his company did, how influential it was. If they're only now realizing that Facebook can be used to manipulate public opinion, or that media companies use Facebook for influence, that's kind of a scary thought. Either he knows and he's lying, or he really doesn't know just how devastating an attack can be originating from a Facebook disinformation campaign. But let me know what you think. Comment below, and let's talk about Russian manipulation. Do you think Russia is really trying to manipulate public opinion? I think we can all say, yeah, of course they would. Why wouldn't they? The United States does the same thing. But is it as severe as everyone says it is? Has the media coverage been appropriate? We'll keep the conversation going in the comments. If you like the video, click the like button. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Timcast. If you want to support the work that I do, go to timcast.com/donate. Give whatever you'd like or give nothing at all. My videos are always free and available every day at 4 p.m. Stay tuned for periodic live streams and breaking news from around the world. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.